myself to drugs early, that's the number one thing I say stay away from. It'll mess with your growth spurt.
Excuse me. Were you a student athlete?
Yes, sir.
What sport did you play?
I played basketball, football, tried out baseball. I wasn't too great at it.
What's your fondest memory about being a student athlete?
Man, I guess the companionship with the fellas, the friendships in the locker room, outside the locker room, you know, just the hard practices, you know, just living and dying together as brothers.
What's something you don't miss about being a student athlete?
When practices ended, when the season ended, at the end of the school year, you know, I was gonna miss my friends and stuff. That's about it.
Were there any potholes that maybe you fell into while being a student athlete, and how would you advise these current student athletes to avoid it?
Yeah, potholes for me, at times not being a leader, you know, introduce myself to drugs early. That's the number one thing I say stay away from. It'll mess with your growth spurt.
Okay, gotcha. Listen, so many student athletes face issues as it relates to their mental health, trying to figure out who they are beyond their sport. What type of advice would you give student athletes trying to figure out who they are beyond the sport they play?
I say fall in love with the process. That'll tell you who you really are. If the process itself is hard for you, that sport in particular, or even in the classroom, that ain't for you.
Yeah, okay.
You gotta be passionate.
Gotcha. Let me ask you this, as far as hard work, we understand how important that is, but aside from hard work, what type of advice would you give them to actually maximize their time?
Make every minute count. You know, again, this falls up under being passionate about what you really love.
Yeah.
Don't waste a minute. Life is short. So, you know, don't waste a minute.
My last question is, what's some last minute advice you would give student athletes that really want to maximize their time currently, but also set themselves up favorably for after the time their eligibility has elapsed?
I always like sitting down, coming up with goals, figuring out where I want to be 10 years from now, and I act like that at that current moment.
Yeah.
So
gotcha.
That's the best advice I have to set them up for the future.